In this video, I'm going to show you how to use LinkedIn, and don't worry, if you're a beginner, you're in the right place. This is the perfect place to be. On this channel, I talk a lot about LinkedIn, Instagram, personal branding, and social media platforms, a lot of practical advice to looking good online. If those topics interest you, stick around, maybe even subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post next. Now, we're going to hop over to my computer and I'm going to share my screen and show you how to use LinkedIn for beginners. To really show you step by step what you need to know. Since you're a beginner, let's start, well, at the very beginning. LinkedIn is a social network, so it's similar to other platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, for example, but there are a few things that make it totally unique, totally different. This platform is owned by Microsoft. Maybe you didn't know that. Now you do. And it's a professional networking site. So this is really made for business connections to be able to share experience and skills, as well as find jobs and opportunities. If I had to boil it down, those are the three main things: business connections, sharing your experience and skills, as well as finding jobs and opportunities. Now, I want to say a bit of a disclaimer. Professional doesn't mean stiff, right? So it's used like other social media platforms, which is really to connect with people. So instead of, your followers or your friends, they're not called that. They're called your connections. But you would post on here, as you can see, start a post. You can post content. You can also interact with other people's content just as you would on another platform: text, video, images, and more. As well, you can communicate with people through your inbox or through instant messaging, basically. And we'll get into more detail as we start to look at each tab in more specifics. Here I'm starting on the home page. So once you've created your LinkedIn account, this is exactly where you're going to end up. Every time you go to linkedin.com, once you're logged in, this is where it's going to bring you. So from your home page, you can access a lot of different things, and what you see might be slightly different than what I'm showing on the screen. But we have everything from news and views, trending courses. Note that I pay for LinkedIn Premium, which includes some additional features as well as courses, right from the free plan. I've also got my LinkedIn groups down here, events, and anything that I interact with recently. So note that I also follow things like hashtags. In this case, I follow hashtag branding, which means I want on my feed to see content that is hashtagged with this from people that I don't necessarily have a connection with, but I'll still be able to see that content, which is great. So from the homepage, you can basically access everything. Let's now start to look at some of the more specific tabs. I'm going to go ahead and click on My Network, okay? So anytime someone has requested a connection with you, as you can see here, I have one invitation to connect. This is where you're going to see that screen, as well as all of your connections. I have just over 4,500, and then I've got my contacts here as well. I've got groups, events, basically your network. That's how they summarize this, okay? If you're just starting out, you're not going to see a lot of content here, and that's totally okay. But as you grow and connect with more people, this is going to start to fill up and be a little bit more exciting. Let's go ahead and click on Jobs next. This is really unique to LinkedIn compared to Facebook or Instagram, for example. Given the professional nature and focus of LinkedIn, kind of awesome that you can actually apply for jobs. LinkedIn is also really smart, so it's looking at my profile and my job titles listed, and it's actually suggesting job searches, so I could be looking for other positions for brand strategist or senior brand strategist or digital strategist. It's smart. It knows what I'm interacting with. It can look at my experience and relevant keywords, and it can suggest, right? So if I'm looking for a job or I'm looking for opportunities, this is exactly where I would go, right here. Jobs. Even if you have a job, it's still not a bad idea to see what else is out there, right? See what opportunities exist. You can do all of that once you're logged in from this tab called Jobs. Next, I'm going to click on Messaging, Okay, so this is your inbox. Really, it's just like any other social media platform. Anytime I'm direct messaging with people or they're messaging me, this is where I can keep track of that. Note that when someone sends a connection request and they include a custom note with that request, it's going to appear here as well, okay? And so I also have an additional feature called Sales Navigator, which I pay a little bit extra for. I'm not going to go into detail on that in this video, but note that it creates a separate inbox for you, which is really helpful anytime that you're messaging with someone, that it's kept track of here under the messaging tab. And then, of course, notifications, like other social media platforms. Anytime something happens, from birthdays to searches, connections, work anniversaries, you're going to see a whole lot of that summarized here. Mostly, updates, notifications based on your account or based on people that you've connected with. All of that is consolidated right here under notifications. Finally, the last tab that I want to point out is Me. This is where you have a preview to basically all of your own profile and settings and privacy and activity. Okay, so it's organized under Account and Manage, at least at the time of recording this tutorial. Here you can access all of that, right? So if you want to click over to your profile, let's say you want to make some updates or add some details, you can do that. This is the place you go. You click on Me and you go down to your profile, just as I showed there a second ago. Boom, right there, as well as managing your posts and your activity. You can see analytics. You can go find an old post that you've posted recently. All of that is accessible right here. So that gives you a beginner's overview of how to use LinkedIn. I stopped at the profile bit because I've got a whole other video that will go into more detail. The link on that is coming up. But I want to know, how are you feeling? Overwhelmed? Hopefully a little less overwhelmed. At least that's what I hope is the case. But let me know in the comments below. I keep an eye on those personally. So if you're interested as well in connecting with me, I've pasted the link in the description below to find me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to keep in touch. I also recommend checking out my freebie, LinkedIn Tips for Beginners PDF. This freebie is really helpful if you're updating your profile and looking to develop a strategy to improve your efforts on LinkedIn. That's also linked below as well. Now we've talked about how to get started. Next, I want to link through to some videos that will help you optimize your profile. Photos, summaries, experience recommendations, and more. I'm Phil Pallen. Thanks for watching. Those videos are coming up next.